If you're someone who makes important decisions all day, the last thing that you need to do is go home and make more decisions around food, make more decisions around training. The default has to be easy. Honestly, I am never amazed at the amount of people who've built multi-million-pound businesses, who've created amazing opportunities both in revenue and for their team. They're balancing family life, friendships, and business, and they're doing a great job at all of them. But then when it comes to their health, they just seem to totally drop the ball. And if you're a leader or an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, let me tell you, as someone who coaches leaders and entrepreneurs, you're not alone. It's one of the things that most people struggle with. Health and fitness is something that people believe isn't a priority until it is. You've only got to have a health scare. You've only got to look at yourself in the mirror after 6 to 12 months of living a certain way, and you're going to realize that you need to get your health in order. So what I wanted to do with this video is just talk through why leaders and entrepreneurs struggle with health and fitness, and also reassure you that you're not lazy. You're consistent in business, you're driven, you're confident, okay? You can absolutely transfer that stuff to your health and fitness, but you just need to know where you're dropping the ball. So first of all, your schedule's too reactive. What a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs do is just give people open access to the diary. And there's this strange thing in the corporate world, in business, where people believe that if there's a time in your diary that's free, isn't taken, then they can take it. But that's one of the worst things to do, because you are going to get pulled into absolutely everything, okay? And when you've got back-to-back meetings, both in person and virtual, the accumulated fatigue from that is just going to run you into the ground. The meetings, the pressure, the constant change of topic. If you've got no control of your time and your schedule's reactive, your body's going to be reactive as well. The next one's decision fatigue. So decision fatigue, I found, is where a lot of people fall short, because when you get home after a long day of making extremely important decisions, you've got tons of conflicting priorities on, and then your partner goes, "What we eating?" Well, it's very rare that you're going to go, "Oh, I'll get me a nice chicken salad, please." You're going to go, "I don't know, what you're having?" And then it's going to evolve into something tasty, and you're going to end up moving further away from your fitness goals. If you're someone who makes important decisions all day, the last thing that you need to do is go home and make more decisions around food, make more decisions around training. The default has to be easy. Next up, we've got the all or nothing mentality. Now, so many of my clients have this, and what made them super successful in business will often break them in fitness, because you cannot just go harder, all right? You may have gone from 0 to 5 sessions a week, which many people do. They'll go, "Right, I'm going on a health kick. I'm going to sort my food out. I'm going to sort my training out. I'm going to do a session in the morning, a session in the evening. I'm going to get 3 PTs in." And you just end up burying yourself. So you don't end up doing what you wanted to do in fitness, you don't end up doing what you wanted to do in business, and you just end up quite unhappy. So my advice with that is go hard, but just don't overcommit. Go as hard as you want, get a plan, stick to it, but don't try and do everything at once. You wouldn't do it in business, don't do it in your fitness. Next up, we've got structure. So I think structure is probably the number one thing that people get wrong. Okay, and if you had an employee and they turned up every day and they sat at their desk and just went, "Right, what am I doing?" You'd be like, "This guy's terrible, we've got to get rid of him." But people do that with a fitness. They will just have a routine of going to the gym, which you could say is a little bit of a structure, but they'll rock up at the gym and then they'll just kind of wing it. So what I would encourage you to do is treat your fitness just like your business. You've got to have a structure, you've got to have a plan. If you can tick off, these 5 things every time you go to the gym as a bare minimum, depending on what has happened, regardless of what's happened that day, you are going to be onto a winner. If you just rely on motivation every time, you are just going to be on that roller coaster, and it's not going to end well, because so many times you're going to come home and motivation is going to be non-existent. And the best parts here, you've got to give them to your family, okay? So structure I would say is the number one. So I'm going to close this without hopefully sounding like too much of an online guru, but it's not discipline, it's a system. But that is the absolute truth. Motivation for leaders and entrepreneurs is fleeting. And I can't tell you the amount of times that I've come home after work absolutely deflated and nobody gets the best of me. But if you know that at the beginning of the day, there are activities in terms of your training, in terms of your nutrition, in terms of your guiding principles or habits, that if you tick them off, you're going to move closer to your fitness goals. As a disciplined leader or entrepreneur, you are probably going to do that. If your approach to fitness is when/if I get all this work done, I'll see if I've got time, okay? That just will not work. And if it does work, the chances are that you are not going to have the motivation or the structure to have a meaningful session. What you should be doing is saving the absolute best parts of you for your family and your loved ones, okay? Giving back to yourself should be a non-negotiable. So stop treating yourself like a second-class citizen and start treating yourself like somebody you're responsible for taking care of. And if you want some help with this, join my free leadership community, Built for Leadership. I'll link it below.